I recently watched a movie about a young man who followed his dream. I don't even have to say the name of the young man, but he followed his dream. And I remember back in 2003 when he was building his business, when he was building his career, a young man by the name of Spike Lee was kind of tarnishing his image. He was saying, "Man, I'm not sure why he does X, Y, Z, but it's an absolute buffoonery." And by the end of the movie, I love how the sense of quote unquote redemption that he experienced was he named an entire soundstage after the same man that almost seemingly looked down upon his pursuit of success. He named 11 sound stages after people that did not even know he didn't have enough money to go from Charlotte back to Atlanta, Georgia for gas. He named sound stages after people that were at the height of their careers while his mother was yelling at him for using $300 on something that ended up not coming to fruition. Family, I want you to put this in your notes right now. You have no idea whose destinies are tied to your dream. I'm watching this movie, y'all, and it's making me crazy emotional because I'm watching the movie and I'm seeing similarities in it, and I'm not quite to where I want to be, but I'm definitely not where I was. And I'm watching Whoopi Goldberg walk up and get a medal, and I'm watching Denzel Washington walk up and get a medal, and they are in tears because never would they ever be recognized with an entire soundstage to amplify the message that they have been sending to the masses for years. And all because of one young man who said, "You know what? No matter the circumstances, I'm following my dream." Last week, I get a picture. I'm getting to the message. Last week, I got a picture from a young man that I remember taking me out into the field when I had no idea what this industry held. I had no idea that this would be the very industry and the very platform and the very vehicle that would bring my family, the Dillards, finally out of poverty. Family, there have been no generations prior to me that have ever met millionaire status. Every single generation prior to me, hello, I don't know if anybody can be honest, open, and transparent right now, but some of y'all are familiar with another acronym, WIC, WIC. And I remember getting the cereal and getting the milk and getting the cheese at my home. And I would be like, who in the world is kind enough to drop off these gifts? Oh, it's because we're poor. Yeah. Some of y'all are familiar with EBT cards. I don't remember those. I remember the food stamps. I remember getting around the stove at certain points in the winter because my family was simply cold and we didn't have enough heat to warm up the home. And so for me, to get to where I am, I get a picture from a young man by the name of Keith Jakowski. And he says, "Hey, I just ran into some of your guys." Who else is in the picture? Jalen and Mike. I told Keith, I said, "Listen, bro, I don't think you understand what you're standing next to right now. You're standing next to two perennial all-stars. You are standing next to two MVPs in every sense of the word. You are standing next to two gods in a sense. Because these young men have been able to figure out," come here, y'all. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but there's a way that they used to take silver and turn it into gold. Does anybody remember the name of that? Yeah, magicians of sorts. They were able to take something from nothing. Anybody that can take an idea and manifest it in the reason I'm saying this is because I said to Keith Jakowski, I said, "Bro, I don't think you understand what you just showed me. I remember when you took me out into the field for the very first time. I remember when you let me get your Cadillac Escalade because I no longer had a car and you just wanted to simply give me the opportunity to go see my appointments. I remember when you took me to Cleveland, Ohio, because I did not have enough money for a hotel room, and you showed me what it looked like to travel and do this business. I remember walking into the office one day at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I had nothing but my basketball gear on. But the prior months, I had been asking Keith, how do I get to 20 grand a month? How do I get to 20 grand a month? Man, I'm really hungry for it. I know I can make it happen in this business." And I remember the look of disgust on his face as he saw me walking out of the office at 11 a.m. with shorts and basketball shirt on. And he said, how dare you, come here, y'all. How dare you have the audacity to disrespect this opportunity like that? What? See, I know we live in a day and age right now where you can't really talk to people like that. Thank God my coaches and mentors love me enough to save my future, even though sometimes it hurt my feelings. Somebody put this on your heart because he loves you. And so now to see what they're doing, to see how far they've come, family, is not because of me. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the kind words. I will tell these young men, including Michael Bond, time and time again, trust and believe where you are is not because of me. I may have been an example, but I am not God. I may have been a pathway, but I am not the creator. Thousands of people have come through my organization. I have trained over 700 life insurance sales professionals, put them in my passenger seat, and told them the same exact things that I told Michael Bond, Jalen Sally, and Michael Courtain. The same exact training I gave them, I gave to hundreds of people. They did one thing that most people never do. And I'm urging every single one of you tonight to do the same thing. They did this, write it down. They made a decision. The challenge with most of you is you think you've already made the decision. No, come here real quick. There is a major difference between interest and commitment. Damon, what is the difference? Interest is I'm going to do what's convenient to me. Oh, if I feel like making calls today, I'm going to do it. If I have some time today, I'm going to do it. If I get around to the training today, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I feel like doing. But see, commitment is something that those three young men did, and that is I will do whatever it takes. But see, I want you to also give yourself some grace right now, because I am not the pot calling the kettle black. Family, I got my life insurance license in April of 2014, but I did not make a decision until January of 2015. Yeah, you heard me right. Write this down. Every single one of you has two different dates in this industry. Damon, what are you talking about? Number one, you have the date that you actually get your life insurance license. But the second date is the date that you commit to do what your coach tells you to do. Now, understand that some of you may not be there yet. And so the purpose of the call this evening is to make sure that you all are totally equipped to receive what I would call a quantum leap in your life. Family, I believe many of you came into this industry for the same reason that I did. I was broken. When I say broke, I was broke with multiple O's. I was living in a 700 square foot apartment. I barely had $685 per month to pay for my rent. Family, I was living in a time and age where I had all the potential in the world. I couldn't go by anybody and they not say, Damon, you should be doing so much better than you are. You have so much potential. And then the conundrum that I had was, well, where in the heck is it going to show up in my life? Because it ain't showing up in the bank account. It ain't showing up in my relationships. It ain't showing up anywhere else. So where is this potential you speak of? And family, write this in your notes. All I needed was an opportunity. But see, there was something that I learned very early on in my career that was the very secret that was hiding in plain sight. Family, if you're not where you want to be, and I want to speak to everybody on the call because I don't care where you are in the business right now. I have top execs for life insurance companies that I consult with right now. I have agency managers that are doing multiple millions a month, both in IULs, both in annuities, and in final expense, and some Medicare. It doesn't matter. Why? Because come here real quick. If you're not where you want to be in the business right now, do not get down on yourself. Here's why. Because most of what you've been taught up to this point is called tactics and strategies. What you've been taught up to this point is the what to do. Hey, what do I say? What rebuttal do I say? What are the 4 parts to the presentation? What leads should I be getting? What product should I be selling? Nothing wrong with that. But come here, family. The challenge with only knowing the tactics and the strategies is you may know the what to do, but you may not know the when and the how. And see, the problem with tactics and strategies is they only work for some people, sometimes in some places. But I want you to put this in your notes. What you're going to learn tonight is a principle. Damon, what is a principle? A principle is a law that governs. See, when I talk about laws, I love laws because you can argue with your mama, but you can't argue with that. Listen, you can do that all day, but nobody's going to argue with the law of gravity. If I take you to the top of this building and I throw you off the side, you're not going to float, you're not going to fly, you are going to fall. Why? Because, Damon, it's a law. And so what's so funny to me is we want to improve our income. We want to improve our relationships. We want to improve our personal and financial lives, but we don't even know the laws behind it. And so we spend our lives spinning the wheels. But how many of us on the line right now, listen, I'm going to call you wiser, not older, because I see some of y'all on the line. How many of you all are willing to admit right now that no longer do you have time to experiment with ideas? No longer do you have time to test things out. Well, let me try a little bit of this, and let me try a little bit of that. And then, oh, that's the trendy thing. And I'm running to this, and I'm running to that. You know what you're doing? You're not trying new things. You're just simply distracted. I'm going to have to say this up front. My name is Damon Dillard, and I am your friend. Yeah, I love how people tell me all the time, well, no, Damon, I'm vertically integrated. You know, I'm doing a little bit of this over here, and I'm doing a little bit of that, and I'm going to start doing a little bit of coaching. No, you're distracted. Y'all with me on this? So there's a principle that I learned that I want to share with you all. I've been a full-time entrepreneur now since 2015, and I started my entrepreneurial testing in about 2013. And I remember being introduced to entrepreneurship. And I remember going to a meeting, and I remember I was so broke at that time that I'm pretty sure I was wearing a suit from the thrift store. Like my Stacey Adams that I had when I went to that meeting. Some of y'all know about this. Some of y'all too rich to even know what I'm talking about right now. But I'm gonna just take you back a little bit. My Stacey Adams were doing like that, right? And I'm pretty sure, family, that I would have gotten in a fight with anybody that evening if they would have played with my emotions and pulled my tie. Why? Because I'm pretty sure it was a clip-on. Some of y'all can't relate to that. All right, so some of y'all ain't been that poor before, right? And so I remember going to this meeting, and I was at a point in my life where, like many of you, you're looking for the secret to success. You're calling Jalen, and you're calling Michael, and you're calling Michael Bonnie, and you're calling them, and you're saying, what am I doing wrong? Like, what do I need to do to get to the next level? Family, I have seen people in this industry make over $200,000 in a single month on their own pen doing final expense. So what am I doing wrong? Watch this. I went to the meeting. I had a conversation with a young man. And someone told me that at the time, this young man was making over $300,000 per month. Now, family, I want you to understand something. At that time, I wasn't even making $30,000 every 3 years. And so you mean to tell me you 10x my income and you're doing that in a month? Somebody put in your notes, quantum leap. And so I walk up to him after the meeting and I said, listen, man, I'm not really excited about what you're talking about. I'm not interested in this career path. I'm not interested in this industry. But I'm smart enough to know that if I can figure out what's in a man's head, I can have exactly what's in his hand. And so I said, sir, what do you know that I simply have not come to an awareness of? Put this in your notes, family. Come here. Awareness is so much better than knowledge. You'll catch that later on. And so I said to him, what do you know that I don't know? Because I'm broke. You're rich. Watch this, family. What he said to me is exactly why we are where we are. Can I be honest with you? It ain't because of the insurance industry. How do we know that, Damon? Because the average life insurance agent only makes $42,000 a year. And so it ain't because of the industry. Oh, well, Damon, it's because of where you live. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I do not live in a demographic that's overly excited about talking about death. Oh, David, it's because of how you look. I have over 18 tattoos. And so when I started in this industry, you saw every single one of my tattoos on my arm. Oh, David, it's because of how you talk. No, most of my clients were disappointed. Why? Because when I called them, I sound 6'2", but really in person, I'm 5'9". So anyway, I said to him, what do you know that I don't know? Family, listen to me closely. He said, Damon, there is no one that believes the way that I do. Now, the clouds didn't open up. I actually leaned in even more, like, so what's the real answer? Like, okay, you got the politically correct answer out the way. That was really, really cute, my guy. But what is it? Is it your presentation? Is it the way you articulate ideas? What sales training did you sign up for? Is it the way that you communicate? Was it your suit? Was it because you live in Houston, Texas? Like, why are you making this money? And most people in this industry barely make $500 a month. He said, no, you don't understand, my guy. Come here. It's because no one believes the way that I do. I want you to write this in your notes. Family, I was naive to do something that most people have so much trouble doing. I was naive enough to say, I don't know what I don't know. And see, the problem with most people is they'll take the simplicity of that statement and allow it to, watch this, they will take the simplicity of that statement and allow it to block them from a blessing. No, that don't make no sense. But see, I believe that Einstein said it best. Come here, family. Einstein said, the problems that you currently face cannot be resolved at the same level of thinking that created them. Yeah. See, the challenge with good coaching is that 99% of it is going to be counterintuitive. You should not know what your coach knows, but you also shouldn't go against it. Why? Because if you already knew it, you would have their results. And so here's what ended up happening. Family, somebody say mentor. Somebody say the word mentor. Why am I saying that? Family, my life has been advanced by mentors. Why am I saying this? I'm not here to push my religious beliefs upon anybody. I am here for whatever you believe. So whatever you identify as your higher power, I'm with that. So I'm not here to talk about what I believe. But what I am here to say is that I believe that whenever your life is going to elevate, that the world, the universe, God, Allah, whatever it is you believe, is going to send you a person. I believe Mike Murdoch said it best. He said, in life, you learn one of two ways. You learn through mistakes or you learn through mentors. In other words, family, you learn through mistakes or you learn through mentors, pain, or people. And see, up to that point in 2013, I had been learning from a tremendous amount of pain. And what I realized is one of the biggest mistakes I was making was the person I listened to for advice was me. I was listening to what made sense to me. Oh, damn it, that don't sound right. Yeah, but here's the problem. I also knew what was in my bank account. So why would I ever listen to broke advice? So when this man told me believe, I want you all to put this in your notes. I can imagine that because Jalen, Michael, and Mr. Bond are extremely coachable and teachable. I'm probably preaching to the choir right now, but the truth always sounds the same. So because I don't have time to go through a dissertation and train you all, I'm going to give you some resources right now that I would like for you, with their permission, to tap into on your own. Write this down. If I had to go back and do everything all over, there would be a couple of books that would be an absolute necessity for me to read again. Write it down. Number one, the book is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. Now, here's the problem, because I'm sure that Jalen and Mike have told you this book before, but here's the issue. Oh, I read that. Oh, yeah, Damon. Yeah, man. I got that book. Awesome. Tell me what's in chapter 4. Matter of fact, come here, y'all. For all of y'all that read it already, let me hear your recording. Oh, you like to look intellectual and say, I got a bunch of books up here, but your life isn't showing proof of the principle. So I'm gonna say it one more time. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Chad Helmstetter. Read it, apply it, because watch this. We all will know 1 year from now whether you did it or not. It's so funny. I talked to a client of mine on Saturday, and the first book that I ever gave her was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And she called me. She was frantic. I was about to go up and speak down in Atlanta, and she called me. She was like, Damon, I'm stressing out. I said, here's the challenge. I said, your challenge is the difference between where you are and where you want to be hinges on the way that you talk to you. And you would not have a best friend that talked to you the way you talk to you. And she was like, I don't understand what you mean. I said, watch this. Some of y'all might want to write this down. I said, here are a couple of commands that I give me every single day. No matter what I encounter, if it is a challenge, here's what I say. 2 things, write it down. Number 1, this is good. Yeah. Oh my God, I just got in an accident. This is good. I just got pulled over. This is good. You just got cheated on. This is good. I just got fired. This is good. How do we know that? Because family, right now, you have survived 100% of the worst moments in your entire life. This is good. Number 2, everything always works out better than planned. Damon, that don't make no sense. Well, then keep your results. See, Marianne Williamson said it best. She's a thought leader. Some of you may have heard of her before, but I love how she defined what a miracle is. She said that a miracle is nothing more than a change in perspective. And I got a question for you all right now. Come here. I'm gonna prove it to you what I just said. I want you to tell me anything in your life that was absolutely amazing. I mean, it gave you a feeling of fulfillment, of joy, of excitement, of exuberance. Tell me anything that happened in your life that happened like that you planned. Listen, if you're a life insurance agent, you know that any day that you planned never worked out as planned, but your best days in the field weren't something that you planned. And so, family, I want you to look at this word believe, because I believe that there are so many clues in certain words, right? I'm looking at this word believe. And, I apologize. Let me give you all the other books. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first book is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Chad Helmstetter. The second book, family, is The Science of Getting Rich. Now, I'm not going to encourage you to read all of the book. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to master 3 chapters. The chapters are chapter 4, chapter 7, and chapter 14. Why? Because chapter 4 helps you understand the significance of your subconscious mind. Why is this important, Damon? Write it down. Because 90% of your daily behaviors are unconscious. What does that mean? That means that the majority of the time, the decisions you're making are based on information from the past. Yeah, that's why I say give yourself grace. Because you're working towards a future that you haven't even created yet. Your mind only works one of 2 ways. Your mind works on memory or it works on imagination. So in other words, family, you are either pre-playing your future or you're replaying your past. Now, your mind, somebody just say my mind. Your mind has one goal and one goal only: to keep you safe. I'm going to say it one more time. Your mind's primary goal is to keep you safe, which means anytime that you set a goal, anytime that you set a desire, anytime you say, I want X, what your mind is doing is it's looking for reference points to find out if that is familiar. And watch this. If it's not familiar, which means you've never seen a picture of it before, which means you've never experienced the emotion of having it before, you have no choice but to rule it out. Are y'all getting this? Okay. You're just thinking about the failures of the past. And so what you call it is procrastination, but what it really is a lack of confidence. Oh, I'm sorry, but we already told you to read what to say when you talk to yourself, and you still say, well, I don't know what to do. My name is Damon Dillard, and I am your friend. The next book is actually an audio, and I'm going to encourage everybody to jump into the audio. Again, I can imagine that this is something that Jalen and Michael Bond have already told you all about. The Strangest Secret. Oh, I read that before, Damon. I heard that before, Damon. Yeah, I got you. I had a conversation with a group this morning, and I told them, I said, listen, what you're looking for can happen overnight. Did you all hear what I just said? What you desire financially, hear me closely, family, hear my heart in this. What you desire can happen overnight. I want you right now to write down what your income goal is for 2024. Okay? I want you to write down right now, what is my income goal for 2024? Now, if you all don't mind me coaching you for a minute, if you have your life insurance license and your income goal is less than $10,000 a month, I need you to rethink your career path. Because ain't no way that you have a license to print money and you're thinking that's small. Damon, how in the world can it happen overnight, family? I'm thinking about a time right now. I was in this office. I've been in this office now since COVID, right? And I remember, and I think everybody should make a practice of doing this. I like to think, THINK, right? I like to think about different things, right? And I remember I was in my office one day and I was working on some applications and working on a couple of ideas for business. And I remember I got a little bit frustrated because I was just simply bored. Like I was frustrated thinking about ideas and I was bored. And what's interesting is in that very moment, in my silence, I heard the buzzing of a fly. And so I'm sitting here and there's a huge window right in front of me. Like a huge window. I got a huge window to the right, huge window right in front of me. And there's this fly that is, come here, y'all, that is working to death to get out of this office. I mean, like I'm just watching this fly, and it is so determined. Like it is so determined to get to freedom. But here's what's interesting. As this fly is working itself to death, right behind me is a door that was wide open the entire time. The fly is looking to escape to freedom, but watch this. If it would have simply made a 180-degree turn, it would have noticed a door that it could have gone out of within 4 seconds of flying time. Damon, why are you saying this to me right now? Because many of you are just like the fly. Many of you are committed to doing more of the same to get to your proverbial freedom number. You know what? This year, I'm going to make this, but I'm going to do it by doing what I did in 2023. That don't work. You know what? I'm going to get it this year by calling way more people. Now, I'm not here to deny that some of you all may need to just simply work on your work ethic. But what I said was it can happen overnight. What I said was it can happen overnight. And so there's an adjustment that I believe every single one of you needs to make right now. I want to give you an example. Let's just say you wrote down that your goal this year was to make $100,000 in income. Somebody say overnight. If you said for the year 2024, my income goal is $100,000, here's the first adjustment that I want you to make. Somebody put this on your paper. I want you to switch your deadline. See, there's something called collapsing time frames. I'm telling you right now, many of you all don't even understand your real capacity. You don't even understand how hard and smart you can really work. You don't even understand how imaginative you can be, how innovative you can be, how disciplined you can be, how resourceful you can be. Why? Because you had the wrong target. How do I know this? Because some of y'all worked harder than you ever have in your life because you knew that 2023 was about to end. If you do a little research on Fortune 500 companies, over 70% of the income they earn is in the last quarter of every year. Why? Not because of the holidays, but because somebody put this on your heart, there's a push. Why? Because as human beings, we always work better with a sense of urgency. What I'm asking you to do is to simply change your target. I want you to change what you would normally do into what you would do in a quarter. What you would normally do in a year, you're going to do it in a quarter. What you normally do in a quarter, you're going to do in a month. What you normally do in a month, you're going to do in a week. What you normally do in a week, you're going to do in a day. Damon, how am I going to do that? How in the world am I going to do that? Watch this, family. I remember when I first got into this business, I was broke. I said that already before. And I remember reading a book. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Tim Ferriss, but Tim Ferriss has a book called The 4-Hour Workweek. But he also has a book that a lot of people aren't familiar with where he's interviewing billionaires. Now, in this book, I knew that I would learn something. Matter of fact, drop a fire sign if you feel like, at least financially, you can learn something from a billionaire. I believe all of us would admit, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's common sense, right? And so I'm reading this young man's story, and he's interviewing a billionaire who is a multi-billionaire from consulting and coaching Fortune 500 companies. And what this guy does is he goes into these 8- and 9-figure companies and he creates billion-dollar valuations. And I'm reading, remember what I said, I'm reading for the principle. I don't care exactly what you do. What I want to know is, what principle have you applied? And so I'm reading his story, and Tim Ferriss asked him, by the way, the gentleman's name is Peter Thiel that I'm talking about. He owns the Houston Rockets. He also owns the Post Oak Hotel in Houston, multi-billionaire. And Tim Ferriss asked him, he said, imagine you're on your deathbed. What would be one thing that you would tell your children to do to automatically repeat the same success that you created? Matter of fact, watch this, family. He asked him, what would be one word from all your time overseas, from all your time in these boardrooms, from all your time coaching and consulting these different companies? What would be one word that you would write on a paper that would help your family achieve and preserve your success? What do you think the word was that he said? Here's the word I'm looking for, family. The word that he said, matter of fact, let me just erase this real quick. The word that he said was that if he could give his children anything, he would teach them how to make a decision. The truth is always simple. It's lies that are complicated. Decision, decide. Original root word means to cut. So what am I telling you right now? There's a chapter in the book, Think and Grow Rich, that's literally titled Decision. And see, the challenge with most people is they're looking at more than one choice, but they've never made a decision. And so what I'm telling you right now is when I was reading Think and Grow Rich, it said that there was something very, very interesting in distinction between people that make decisions. Family, what they said is there is a major difference between rich people and poor people. Come here. There's a major distinction between rich people and poor people. Damon, what's the major distinction? They said, watch this, y'all. They said poor people are very slow to make decisions, but very, very quick to turn their back on it. But it said that rich people, I don't care whether it's rich in relationships, rich financially, doesn't matter. A rich person is very quick to make a decision, but very slow to turn their back on it. See, some of you all just had an opportunity to make a decision. Damon, what are you talking about right now? I gave you an opportunity to write down your goal and set your mindset. Mindset. I am setting my mind towards a direction of April 8th of 2024. But what you're looking at still is a choice. But see, I understand. I'm not telling you that you're poor, but what I am saying is you're missing a critical factor in being able to make quick decisions and being slow on turning it back. Damon, what is that? Write this down. Family, the only reason why it's been difficult for you to make decisions is because you don't have a vision. Where do I get this from? The Bible. Listen, whether you read it or not, I believe it stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. Whether you like it or not, I believe some of the greatest stories that can lead you to a great life reside in there. And so there is a scripture that literally says, without a vision, the people, what, family? Perish. The word never meant to die. Write it down. Without a vision, the people perish. It did not mean that you will die. The original Latin meaning of the word perish, write it down, family, means to lack restraint. Yeah. If I don't have a vision, write it down. The main thing that I will lack is I'm going to lack discipline. Uh-oh. Write it down. Put it on your heart. Okay, Damon, so what you're telling me right now is if I'm lacking in vision, I will also lack in discipline. Write it down. Discipline, family, is the ability, which means it can be grown, which means it is a skill, which means you can get better. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and immediately follow through on it. Family, what's interesting about discipline is a very close cousin to another word that I love. Write it down. Discipline is a very close cousin to the word confidence. I love it. Discipline and confidence are kissing cousins. Damon, why can't you say that? Because watch this. Confidence, root word confide, means, write it down, to trust. Do I trust me? Wait a minute, Damon. So you mean to tell me that discipline literally means I give myself a command and I immediately follow through on it. That means I made myself a promise and I did what I said I was going to do. Oh, So you mean to tell me the reason why you really procrastinate is not because you're just a procrastinator? No, it's because you lack in confidence, but you simply lack in confidence because you can't even keep your word to you. Let me give you an example. This year, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day and I'm going to work out. January 1, woke up at 5. January 2, woke up at 5. January 3, woke up at 5. Oh, here's Saturday, woke up at 6. Damon, that's not that big of a deal. No, but what it does is it goes into something called, write it down, your confidence account. And see, your confidence account is a memory bank that never forgets. And the challenge that most people have is they have been lying to themselves for so long that when they start setting a goal, your mind automatically comes up with justified reasons, otherwise known as excuses, otherwise known as a well-planned lie as to why it won't work for you. And so when Damon stands up here, or Jalen, or Mike Bond stands up here and says, you can make this your $500,000 year. Listen to me, y'all. I remember when I was sitting in Starbucks with Jalen, and Jalen told me, he said, listen, bro, I'm making $400 every 2 weeks. I said, listen, my guy, if you're willing to listen to me, I'm going to help you make what you make every 2 weeks, every hour. Now, everybody can ask him for a loan. I said, Mike Bond, I know what you made at the previous company. I don't care nothing about that. What's your goal? We can do that. Let me show you how. The truth is always simple. It's lies that are complicated. Family, what is your goal? Now, I want to give you something very practical before I get out of here. Okay? Do me a favor, just trust me for you for 1 minute. And if you don't trust me yet, I want you to trust your incredible leadership. Family, everything rises and falls on leadership. One of the biggest things that I'm so proud of these young men about is they have surpassed me. Hello? Listen, I don't think we ever had 70-something people on a call at one time. Like, I think back in 2018, we was maybe doing, I don't know, I think our best month ever in final expense, we might have did 295 or something like that, right? And I think the most people, and I would be begging people to get on our Monday nights and Thursday night calls. Listen, Jalen and Mike was always on, and Mike Bond, thank God, because sometimes they was the only three. So to see what they've created, like, I couldn't be more proud of them. So if you're going to trust anybody in this moment, trust them. So here's what I want everybody to do very quickly, okay, as we end the call. I want you to close your eyes. Now, let me help a couple of y'all out because your eyes aren't closed yet. If you can't even listen to your leadership, hang up your goals for the year. It ain't going to happen. I want you to close your eyes. And if you're in a safe place to do so, I want your hands in your lap. And I want you to sit in a king or queen's position. What does that mean, Damon? With my head up and my chest up. I want to get you centered first. And so the first thing that I want you to do is take a deep breath in through your nose. And I want you to release through your mouth. One more time, I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for about 2 seconds. And release through your mouth. One more time, family. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Fill your belly. And release through your mouth. Family, for a brief moment, with your eyes closed, I want you to see an event in the year of 2023 that made you proud. I want you to see an event right now from 2023 where you were extremely excited, where there was something that happened with a level of synchronicity where it felt like everything that you had worked for had worked out. Right now, in this moment, family, I want you to feel the feelings of joy and exuberance that you felt in that moment of being proud of yourself in 2023. I want you to feel it again in this moment. Family, I also right now want you to see someone that you love. In your mind's eye, with your eyes closed, I want you to see someone that not only is also proud of you, but someone you desire to be proud. You want their affection, you want their attention, you want their approval. They are the person who's been rooting for you. I want you to see that person right now. Family, I also want you to see a time in 2023 when you were laughing uncontrollably. You were around friends, you were around family, you were watching a certain movie. I want you to see that moment when you were so full of joy. Now, family, with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine that Mike Bond, and Jalen Sally awarded you with a trip. I want you to imagine in your mind's eye right now that they called you and said, hey, we've taken care of an all expense paid vacation to Los Angeles, California. And they said, we're going to take care of everything. We're going to make sure that you have a stipend. We're going to make sure that you can bring one of your best friends, one of your family members, whoever you would like. And we're going to take care of all of the expenses on the trip. We just simply want to show you a good time and show appreciation. And so, family, I want you to imagine yourself going through the airport right now. They've already taken care of the TSA pre-check for you. I want you to imagine that you get on a Delta flight and you're also sitting first class. I want you to imagine that you're with your spouse, you're with your friend, you're with your family member, and you all are in high anticipation of what you're going to experience on this trip. I want you to see yourself right now landing in LAX and being picked up by the limo. I want you to see yourself right now going through Beverly Hills and you're seeing the sights and you're feeling the cool breeze of the air and you're seeing the sounds and you're having an incredible time already. And where you pull up to is called the Waldorf Astoria, a beautiful luxury resort. You're seeing the Rolls Royces in the front. You're seeing the Ferraris. You're seeing the Bentleys. You start seeing a couple of superstars that you know, and you get even more excited. You get a call from Michael Bond, and he asks you, hey, did you land okay? Is everything okay? We're meeting for dinner on Rodeo Drive in 2 hours. We've already left you all with outfits. And so as you all get ready and you walk downstairs, there's another Rolls Royce that picks you all up to drop you off at Rodeo Drive. I want you to see it right now. As you get over to Rodeo Drive, you tell Michael Bond, Jalen, and Michael Curtain, you say, hey, listen, we're a little bit famished and we're a little bit tired. Can we stop for some coffee? All of a sudden, you find yourselves in a coffee shop. And as you all are standing there having a great conversation with one another, there's a man that oddly walks up and stares you up and down. It's an elderly white man, and he's very polished. He seems to look very successful. You can tell he's in a custom-made suit, but you're wondering to yourself, what are you looking at? And the man with an accent, he says to you, hey, I apologize. I don't mean to stare. He shakes your hand and everybody else at the table and he says, my name is, and I am a Hollywood director. And the reason why I'm staring at you is I can't help but notice that you fit the image. You fit the very image of the person I see as being in my next feature film. I have created a movie script that I know would be perfect for you. And you laugh and you kind of shrug it off, and he said, no, I don't think you understand. All of my movies are box office hits. And so he has a proposal for you. And family, this is what he says to you. He says, with your eyes closed, he says, I'm going to give you the script. And if you can come back to me 1 year from now and you have the script mastered, I will award you with over $20 million and residuals from streams of the movie for the rest of your life. Family, open your eyes. Now, for some of you, $20 million doesn't move you. But what I want you to think about right now is your goal. What I want you to think about right now is that this man has said, if you can master this script, I'd be willing to give you what you wrote down on your paper. I have a question for everybody as we wrap up. What would you do to learn that script? Put it in the comments. What would you do to learn that script? Brandon put the very reason why many of your favorite actors and actresses are your favorite. Because you don't know the difference between Denzel in Training Day and who he is in real life. Why? Because he became it. And so, family, in your papers right now, I want you to write something down. There are 5 areas that when we get off the line tonight, by next Monday, I want you all to be able to show your leadership your script. Write it down. 5 areas. Number 1, personal. Number 1 is personal. Number 2 is financial. Number 2 is financial. Number 3 is business or businesses. Business or businesses. Number 4 is lifestyle or leisure. Lifestyle or leisure. And number 5 is contribution. Let me explain. In every single one of these areas, family, I want you to act as if, like I said, you're 1 year from now, all right? Let's just say you had a time machine, you were able to put yourself in January 1st of 2025. What I want you to ask yourself, and write this down, is what would have needed to happen in the last 12 months that would have made that 12-month period the best of my entire life? I'm gonna say it one more time. I want you to act as if today is January 1st of 2025. You're gonna ask yourself, what would have needed to happen in the last 12 months that would have made that 12 months the best of my entire life? What would have made my personal life the best year of my life? What relationships would I have cultivated? What relationships would I have let go of? What relationships would I have grown? What relationship with myself do I now have? What type of energy do I have every single day? What type of joy do I have every single day? What type of excitement? Family, I have been up since 5 a.m. I have been doing these type of calls since 9 a.m. Can you tell? No. Why? Because I told myself a long time ago, when I speak, people listen. When I speak, people listen. And so there is an energy that I became. Why? Because I said it. Number 2, financial life. Family, there is no unrealistic goal. The only unrealistic goal is a goal that you're not willing to work towards. And so I want you to tell yourself, hey, over the last 12 months, It was the best financial year of my life because I was able to create X amount of dollars, because I was able to save X amount of dollars, because I was able to invest X amount of dollars, because I earned this rate of return this year financially. Why was it the best year of your life? Number three, business or businesses. Listen, write this down, because some of us think, oh, a business is something I should do for pleasure. Stop it. You sound like a child. A business is not something I do because it's pleasurable. No, a business is a center for profit. A business, a real business for big boys and girls, is something that returns profits back to its shareholders, which means you are the shareholder of your company. So you ain't, I said that purposefully, a businessman or woman if you ain't profiting no money. So what did your business create over the last 12 months, family? How many people, answer me this, come here. How many people were positively impacted because your business was erected? Number four, lifestyle and leisure. Where did you travel to? Family, in the last year, I've been places that, watch this, you ready for this? That I wrote down. Places that I wrote down back in 2016. Hey, I'm going to go to St. Lucia with my wife. Hey, I'm going to go to Dubai. And guess what? I did it on somebody else's dime. Why? Because I mastered a skill. That's a different call for a different day. Number five, write it down. Contribution. Why? Because you're blessed to be a blessing. Family, what does it look like for you to make $1 million and tithe 100,000? What does it look like for you to make 100,000 and also tithe 100,000? What does it look like for you to make $1 million but also give your mother $1 million? Can I help somebody out right now? Some of y'all are way too talented for your parents to still be working. I'm about to get kicked out. I know y'all tired of me already. That's okay. If you didn't want me to step on your toes, you should have sat Indian style. Some of y'all are way too talented for your parents to still be working. How dare your parents say my monthly expenses are $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and you haven't had the audacity or the gall to take them 60 grand cash and say you're off for the year? Somebody say, "Ooh, you right." Family, what you're going to do with those 5 categories is you're going to create your script. You're going to create a concise message of what happened over the next 12 months in your life, and you're going to master it. Why? I don't know if you all ever heard this before, but I'm going to end with this. I had a conversation with a mentor of mine, and he helped me understand the power of words. And he told me to define every single word. The word believe, it means to accept something as true. Discipline, to give yourself a command and immediately follow through on something. Confidence, another word is truth. I learned to define words. Why? Write it down, family. Because if you're ever reading a book and there's a word that you do not understand, due to syntax, what does that mean? Order. If you read a word and you do not understand that word, it negates everything you read after. Why? Because there's not understanding. You all get that? And so I became very, very curious about words. And there's a word as to why, if you do what I said to do in the last 15 minutes, nothing will ever be the same in your life. You will create overnight success. And the word, family, is future. Write it down. The word, family, is future. Now, this blew my mind because he said, Damon, do you even understand what the definition of the word future is? Now, y'all stay seated, y'all. Don't run when I say this. Some of y'all about to run. Family, write it down. The word future means the time or the period of time following the moment of speaking or writing. I'm about to run. I'm going to say it one more time. Family, the word future means the time or the period of time following the moment of speaking or writing. Damon, why does it seem like I keep running into the same customers over and over? Because you keep talking about the last ones. Damon, why do I keep running into the same relationships over and over? Because you keep talking about the last one. Damon, why does it seem like my life is cyclical and going up and down? Because you keep talking about the old times. Matter of fact, many of you are stuck because you use gossip as a bonding tool. And my encouragement to you as I leave this evening is the only way that you will have a new, revived, refreshing, overnight success in your future is if you apply the hidden secrets of discontinuing talking about your past. Family, with that said, I want to hand it back over to the three all-stars, superstars, leaders, moguls. I'm speaking $1 million per month of production into their lives. I am speaking them creating a company that does a 6 to 8 times EBITDA. I am talking about them creating a company that has a valuation in the hundreds of millions. And I'm talking about my brothers, my guys. I don't call them mentees any longer. I call them friends. Michael Curtain, Michael Bond, and Jalen Talley. Family, can you go ahead and unmute for me? Do me a favor and unmute. And I want, by a round of applause, I want you to show your appreciation for what they have created inside of this incredible organization.